Hello, everyone. Now that my screen's doing what it's supposed to do, and that can move maybe, it is good to see you. It is a morning, and I I am not sure, depending on how you're feeling today, if there is anything I can do to quite boost the mood. I think today may be one of those appropriately solemn days. I know that's one of the things I'm kind of sitting with right now, but I am hoping that I can at least, if not boost the mood, ground the mood into something that feels a little bit more um, in control for your personal self, right? The world is doing ridiculous things right now. We all have opinions, we all have feelings. I know I've got a ton. I've got a ton of feelings right now. I'm literally wearing my comfort hoodie today, right? So I hope that you guys are finding comfort, that all of your techniques work for you. And the thing that I'm going to focus on today, hi, Kristen, it's good to see you. Thing that I'm going to focus on today is grounding ourselves not into hyper explaining the events of the weekend with astrology. I've been a little bit sad, by the way. I've seen some astrologers handling the way that they are addressing or commenting on what's going on. But again, that's my personal feeling. Um, I am not, as I've said before, convinced that tomorrow's eclipse is the trigger of everything that is going on. I think it is adding to the energy of it and amplifying it a little bit. We mentioned that by transit, right? That an eclipse by transit is a little bit intense, but I still do feel that we are. This is a lot more martial, let's put it that way, than it is any of the signatures we would expect from a Virgo Mercury eclipse, even though Virgo eclipses are said to impact things such as kings, which of course that was in an era of kingdoms, so rulers and things like that. Yes, those are signified. And also, this eclipse takes place, at least if you cast the chart for Washington, D.C. and the East Coast, it takes place very far towards the descendant, in fact, on the descendant. So, the effects of this eclipse, according to our best calculations that we would use from some of the most incredible astrologers in history, would actually be projected almost a year away. However, these events are happening now, and they are in the intensification phase of an eclipse that was a solar eclipse in 2024 that was visible to a lot of the United States, and a lot of other places too. The United States is not the only important chart here. It is probably the one I will focus on the most because it's where many of us are tuning in from. And to go into all of the charts would take multiple hours, and we do not have that time right now. And I'm not going to overwhelm you with all the mind-boggling stuff. I do have myself prepared to show you multiple charts today to kind of give you an idea of how an astrologer like myself looks into everything. Good morning, Danny. It's great to see you too. Um, yeah, it's been a time this weekend. So you let me know where you're at. I'm going to follow your lead, everyone who is here. If there is something that you want to talk about, let me know. Just in anticipation of some questions that I figured may come up, I have prepared multiple astrology charts. If you want to simply go over what we as individuals can expect from the Virgo eclipse by transit and things like that, we can do that too, keeping it light. Or we can really go into the mundane in mundo, which is what that means, in the world details. I just dropped one of my things. Oh, but it came back. Hang on. Yay. Goodness, it's bouncy. Awesome. Mercury retrograde hit you with the flu, Misty. I'm sorry. Is Mercury important for you right now? Is it a Time Lord or anything like that? Or is it transiting an important sign? Fun things to think about as hopefully you keep yourself busy while you're recovering gracefully and swiftly. So yeah, let me know where you guys are feeling, because like I said, I've done some preparation to be able to hopefully handle whatever it is we need. The Monday Magic Mood Boost may not take you from subdued to thrilled, but hopefully it can take you to more of a neutral place, if that's what you're needing today. It's still a boost. It counts. I know it does for me. It's something that I've hinged my morning on as I've been watching news and keeping up with things and staying informed while also trying to stay regulated. Cool. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see. You've been awake since 5 a.m. So you're here this morning. Yay. Nice to see you here, Maven. Thank you so much. Yeah. So Maven, you reminded me we will be starting a new game this week. It's not going to be a consistent new game. Once a month, Dan is now going to be joining me for a, like I said, once monthly live stream where he and I will play together. You won't see his camera or anything like that. That's not his vibe, but you will see his character on my screen and you will hear his voice, which honestly to me, it's a little bit more entertaining. Our faces are great, but also imagining that we are those characters is really fun too. So we will be doing some exploration and shenanigans in Genshin Impact. And it'll be really fun. We've got some fun ideas planned to hang out with you guys. And of course, any game I play, I will be making it somehow about astrology and magic. And Dan will probably make it about geography and geology and weather. And you're going to get a double whammy of really interesting facts this week. Dan is the ultimate trivia partner. So combined, we make for a pretty fun trivia team. Yeah. So how are you guys doing? What do you need? What do you want to talk about? Mercury's your time lord this year, Misty. Yeah. So right on. Now you're getting really good. This is what we call astrology good, right? It's astrology good. That doesn't mean it's a good thing. It just means the astrology evidence is there. So you're experiencing what we call astrology good. And I hope that it becomes easier for you soon. Usually when a planet stations, that's one of the most noticeable points of its phase. So you may not have to like count on being sick for the whole 3 weeks, but you may also find that the stationing periods are the most noticeable. So Mercury stationed on the 26th. You are experiencing this now. And that makes a lot of sense. But again, hopefully it passes quickly. Hi, Stephanie Lynn. It's good to see you. Aurora, nice to see you too. I'm glad you guys are here. Just as a recap, because a couple of you have joined us since I said it last, I do have some charts prepared if you're interested in the astrology of what is going on right now in current events. If you are not, we are here to decompress and hang out together. That is totally up to you. Oh, and Misty, I'm glad you're so I don't want to say just optimistic, but I'm glad that you see the purpose in things. And I'm glad it is a good time for you to have the flu if ever there was one. So we have one vote, I believe, to look at some charts and understand the timing of what's going on right now. Spoiler alert, it's not entirely to do or solely to do with the eclipse tomorrow. I think the eclipse tomorrow exacerbates it, but there are three other things actually, completely separate from the eclipse. From tomorrow's eclipse anyway, that my mentor and I believe are more involved with what's going on right now. And I think once I show it to you, it'll make a lot of sense. So that'll be pretty easy. I do want to make sure, because again, this is a harder topic and this is your time, that we get a couple people in sort of a quorum saying, yes, let's look at the charts. Like I said, we are here to boost the mood. And if like me, grounding yourself in knowledge and education and awareness helps to get you from low to neutral, which is, a path towards feeling better. That's what I'm here for. And if today you just want to be like, you know what, I'm getting all this everywhere else, I'd rather just have a nice time and just joke around or something, I can do that too. I'm flexible. I don't have a lot of air in my chart, but my lot of fortune is there and I really pull on it when I need to. All right. So we've got like 1.5 votes. If one more person says yes, I will go for it. But I am going to wait for that. And I'm sorry to drag it out, but it's important. I really value everybody's mental health and your right to that. Okay. We have, okay, cool. We have enough people. Hey, Lauren, good to see you. I'm glad you said something so that I get to see you're here. Chart. Okay. You're not going to get one chart. You're going to get 4. And I'm going to show you a new astrological program that I got. Also my candle, because it's close to my screen and I don't want to have it. But this is my candle that I use to help me calm down and get rid of anxiety because it's got evil eyes all over the place. I love this thing. If only that it's pretty. Cool. Other thing I will recommend, if you have a dog, stare at them today. They'll be weirded out by it, but you can stare at them while you pet them. And that seems to be a pretty equal exchange of energy for them. It'll help them out a lot while they help you out by just being there and being adorable. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen And I'm going to share hopefully an entire screen so that we will be able to see when I shift around a little bit. Let's see. I need my screen share. Is this going to give me the option? Share entire screen, screen 2. Amazing. Okay. So hopefully, and my image showed up just right and everything. This is Janus software, um, created by really detailed astrologers like myself. I appreciate them so much. Yes, I know what everything on here does, and I use all of it. So I'm going to show you a couple different charts. In fact, everything you see over here, minus my birth chart, you will see today because we are going to show you the way that astrology charts work kind of like your natal chart and your solar return charts work. Astrology works in epochs of time within larger epochs and then smaller epochs. And it's kind of like a nested doll, right? So I'm going to show you how this works. And then if I can get this, yes, Janus, similar to that, also the god of January. If I can get this to work correctly, it is Mercury retrograde. It's a newer program for me. I will show you exactly how we found this technique that I believe is the biggest catalyst behind what is going on right now. Not surprisingly, the ultimate star of the show is going to be Mars. Okay. I've been saying for a couple weeks now with these eclipses, if you feel like the eclipse was for the last one more Saturnian or more Marsy, notice that. Same thing with tomorrow or with what's going on right now, because I feel like we could say it's about the same time. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Is it more mercurial? Now, Mercury is down bad. So it's certainly not reliable and it's certainly not straightforward. And I think it's definitely got something to play now and into the next year. But I want to show you Mars, and I might even add a couple more charts to this if we have time to show you what happens moving forward. So this chart is not anywhere near where we are right now. This chart is 25 years old. Why am I showing you a chart from the Aries ingress down here of the year 2000? Because in the year 2000, the mean triplicity shift, the average one of Saturn and Jupiter, which would have indicated a whole new era or epoch of time, a changing of dynasties, occurred the year 2000. Now, the mean triplicity conjunction would have occurred in Gemini, moving us to the air sign. The actual, because of retrogrades and stuff, happened in Taurus. The difference between an actual conjunction and the mean conjunction is because Saturn and Jupiter, right? Because they travel along at different speeds and one can get ahead of each other, but then backs up while this one's moving forward, but then this one backs up and then this one moves forward. You can see how that's a lot, right? When they finally do come together, it's not really representing their straight motion. So what people in the medieval Persian era did was they said, okay, let's average out all that distance they cover, give them a speed relative to that, and say, based on just straightforward motion, when would they have conjoined? That's the average or the mean, same word, the mean conjunction. And we're going to use the actual one in just a minute. So we're not discounting it. We're not ignoring it. We're just giving it a different step in the process. So this is the mean conjunction that was the triplicity shift that carried us from the era of Earth, which was a 200-ish year period, into a new 200-year-ish era of air. So now we are in the air, which I love so much. So happy to be alive for that pun. And of course, we haven't been in an era for like 800 years, right? If we have earth, water, air, and fire, that's 4 sets of 200 years, which takes 800 to get us back around. So it's been a bit, right? So we're coming into this time that we're pretty unfamiliar with, especially with our current abilities in technology and all those other things. Air is very much an intellectual element. Think about the elemental associations. They will hold true here, right? So air stuff means that we're going to get into strategy. We're going to get into social topics. We're going to get into technological improvements and innovations and things like that. And also, when I say social topics, I do mean things like social justice. That's a very big one, especially associated commonly with Aquarius, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. So there's your little spoiler to hold on to. Now, this becomes basically the birth chart for the next 200 years. So, the same way in your own astrology that you would always go back to your own natal chart to check on stuff and say, okay, what in my solar return, which it like has the perfected sign gotten to this? What does that mean in the natal chart? How does that reflect in the solar return? We're going to end up doing the same kind of thing, but for the world in this way. Now, because we've got a longer period of time, 200 years, which is a little bit more than the average human lifespan, we have more charts that we work off of too. So it becomes, like I said, that nesting egg, nesting doll situation. Aurora, the slow blink to your cat cracked me up. Thank you. Okay, so Maybe I'm glad you have 3 dogs. That's amazing. I have two, and I have gone to both of them multiple times. So what we notice about this chart is that it's got a Capricorn rising. The Saturn Jupiter conjunction is in Taurus over here, but remember the mean is going to be in Gemini, and we do know that by annual perfection, right? You would start in the year 2000. So year 2000 to 2001 would take us across the first sign here. So 2001 to 2002 would have been the second sign, 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then we go around again 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20, 2021, 2, 3, 4, 25 would have started here. This is Aquarius, right? So in 2025, which is the Aries ingress period we are currently in because it started last March, the Aquarius sign is highlighted and activated by annual perfection. One small thing to note here is the South Node at the time was in Aquarius. They are returning there this year, but that's not the thing I'm talking about. The 2 degrees Aquarius is oddly close to where the actual conjunction of Saturn and Jupiter in air occurred in 2020. So we're going to remember Aquarius because that is important for 2025. And we're going to remember Aquarius because the other layer that is important is Aquarius. Now, I know they're in Capricorn here, but that's because it was from March of that year. They would conjoin in Aquarius in the year 2020. They actually did it on the winter solstice, and they did it at the 0 degree. So 0 degree Aquarius harkens back to that roughly 2 degrees. I give like a 3 degree leeway there. So we see that that conjunction kind of happened on the south node of the triplicity shift chart, the mean triplicity shift chart. Then we go forward and we see, okay, 2020 did the same thing. Now, this is 2020, right? So we got to go around again. 2020 to 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so 5 would have started this Aries period. So now we see that Aquarius and Aries are both kind of something to think about as we look at 2025. What do those signs do? They help us zone in on what's important, right? You have this whole massive chart of things to look at, and you think, okay, but where's the important stuff? What should I focus the most on? What's going to speak the loudest? Well, it's going to be Aquarius, and the Persian astrologers who did amazing work, like I said, do say that when the sign, the ascending sign of the Aries ingress comes back to the sign of the last conjunction. We are in a 20-year period from one conjunction to another conjunction. And the last conjunction was that one in 2020 that occurred in Aquarius. So it is in that sign. We get an amplification of what that conjunction is doing. Now, remember, this is the big ones. These are the big ones when it comes to conjunctions. Saturn and Jupiter conjoining show us how history is moving. And so when we see echoes of these pivotal things coming forward into a year that we are in, we know big plot points happen that year. And so we see Aquarius being important. We also see a lot happening in Aries here. Venus and Mercury are there. The sun's always there. So, that's a little bit of something to keep in mind. But Aquarius is representing the people as the first sign of the chart. Just like your natal chart, your first sign is your body, your life, your perspective, your personality, your rising sign. The body of a nation is its people. So we see that the people are represented by Aquarius, by Saturn, and always in part by the moon, because the moon is also the body, right? So we see that up there. Conversely, the ruler of a nation is from the 10th. That's where we find it. The sun is always partially the ruler, just like the moon is partially the people. But the ruler of the 10th becomes important. And so the ruler of the 10th of Scorpio is Mars. When we look at the condition of it, it's Mars down bad in fall in Cancer. Cancer hates having Mars there, is the way that it is. I always like to talk about exaltation and fall. Mars is fall in Cancer. I like to talk about them as you're exalted if you are Taylor Swift and you've come to any city, right? They bend over backwards to make sure you are accommodated. You are exalted there. You are celebrated. The opposite of that is if someone that city like just agrees is not good and they're basically chasing them out of the city, it's like being canceled, right? So Mars in Cancer is basically canceled. Mars is also another co-ruler of martial things, which would include things like military and that kind of stuff. So we're already seeing from 2025 to 2026, the ruler is very connected with that concept. Um, sorry. But not a good reputation. This is the one thing that I'm holding on to. Yes, Steph Lynn, that's what I wanted to say. So thank you for putting it in the comments. Yes, like ice in Minnesota, that is a planet in fall. Very literally, right? It is something martial, violent in a community that's like not here, right? Get out. So thank you. Love it. I appreciate you so much. So we see this promise in the 2025 chart. Now, we've zeroed in on Mars because there are a couple things in the chart that we find important, right? You can find the ruler of this chart, which you could say is Saturn, but we also say like who's doing the best out of the whole chart using a ton of criteria that I won't go through because there's like 30 to 60 of them. But trust me, when my mentor and I came to the moon as being the sort of ruler of the year. So I've watched the moon a lot. The moon has coincided with the No Kings protests. Its motions throughout the year has coincided with those. It's been very interesting to see. Mars has also coincided with a lot of interesting things. And remember, Mars is going to represent the individuals in charge, the ones who are making decisions on behalf of the nation. So there's someone in particular that I will not say their name because they don't deserve it, but you know who I mean. And so we keep an eye on Mars. And the eclipse that's coming up is going to be tomorrow on March 3rd. But if I do our fancy thing, now come with me here. You can see this. Good. This is the same chart on the same chart, right? What I'm going to do is you're going to be able to see that Mars natally or, in the Aries ingress is going to stay where it is, but I'm going to walk you through Mars doing different things here just as a visual aid. And then you're going to have to trust me on some of the math. But what we do in this technique that I use that has been really interesting when it comes to predicting techniques within the year and when they occur, it's not transits. Transits can help to show when the environment is perfect for something to happen, but we also use something that is called primary directions. And that is the motion of the planets as they go throughout the day. Now, if you can track that and scale it to where that day actually gets scaled over the year, you can see when Mars is doing something important and then correspond that with a day, roughly. The calculations are approximate, right? But then you can see when Mars is doing something really interesting. So we're going to have to remember, because the descendant's not listed here, I don't know how to do that yet. We're going to move this forward by a couple hours. And I'm going to play it. So it's just going to animate. So here we go. Animating the chart, we see Mars is going to, I could probably do this by more than 1 hour because it's going to be slow. So you can see how everything's moving already, right? I'm going to do this by 3 hours because that should give us a little bit more to work with. Okay. And we want the ascendant has come back around and we've gone way too far. Hang on. Again, this is tough for me. So we want the ascendant to be exactly opposite Mars. So you see our AS here. We're going to want that to be over here. And that's, okay, so roughly there. We'll go down to 1 hour. Again, this is not showing it as well as I would have liked. But let's say roughly there, right? So when Mars is setting in the chart, we expect something important to happen. Now that happened, through the course of the day last year at some point. But when Mars sets, we want to pay attention. So if we do the math for this, Mars will set either it was at the end of, depending on the calculation you do, there's a range from the end of February, around the 26th-ish, to March 4th. So we are in the period of time that represents the setting of Mars. If you know in your natal chart that a planet near one of the angles, the ascendant, the descendant, the midheaven, or the IC, those are the most active. Those are the stages of your chart that when a planet is there, the spotlight is on them and they have a little bit more noticeable control over what's going on. When we find Mars at the descendant in its timing, we expect something to happen because it is finishing whatever it came here to do. Now, when it's rising, it introduces its story. When it's culminating, it continues its story, right? That's kind of like a midpoint in the story. The descendant is your climactic moment and falling action to the conclusion, right? So that's where we're at for 2025. We are in that period of time where Mars is popping off. It happens to coincide with that intensification period I talked about before of the Aries 2024 solar eclipse that is intensifying now if you do its calculations out. So another Martial thing that is going off with Mars doing something important. Then we ask ourselves, cool. So Mars has a lot to do with the leadership this year. It is actually the indicator of what leadership's motions are. Is that going to get any better next year? Do you want to know this or not? Put a yes in the comments if you want me to move forward with this. I'm not here to fearmonger. I'm here to educate. And it's something that, again, I approach with curiosity. That's how I choose to do all of this. Yes, I have feelings about it, 100%. But also, it's very interesting, and I got a couple yeses here, so I will go ahead with this. If I cast a chart up here, I can go and I can make an ingress chart and do my fancy things over here where I say that I want it for 2026. And that's going to give me the options. And it might not do it perfectly because it likes to do Placidus, even though I have it all set up nicely, but I'll still be able to show you what I'm trying to do here. All right, so we see it mucked up my chart a little bit, but we have the 10th house, and this line is going to represent the midheaven point. And in that 10th house, we do find Mars is still quite important, along with Mercury, who is the ruler of the ascendant for the year. So we see that the people, remember, who are represented by the ruler of the first house, which is Mercury. The people are retrograde, they are fall, they are detriment, and it's stationing direct. We want to put that way. Mercury is standing still in the sky, exactly conjunct the south node, in a very confusing place for Mercury, and Mars is there too. So what does this all mean, right? Because I've thrown out a couple of things for you right now, and those can be pretty unsettling. And we're already in unsettling actions that are occurring. So I want to make sure that it's like, don't blow it further into a proportion that we're not even in yet. Mars is already doing Marsy things. This is just showing us that that topic and those things are still going to be very much in the forefront of our focus in the coming year, because it's going to be something that leadership is focused on. It doesn't represent the leader anymore, but it does show that there is some focus there. And so when I see Mercury stationing to conjunct a node, fall and detriment with Mars also right there in that 10th house, the one thing I will tell you that I have vetted this with several other astrologers and they agree with me. One of the strongest things I will tell you about 2026, pretty much above all else, is get media literate. That's my advice. Become media literate. Learn how to look up the answers to what you want to know. Learn how to tell what resources are trustworthy. Learn to catch yourself before you feel yourself spiraling into a news headline. Make sure you research it. It's going to be tedious and annoying, but that's the world we've been put in. And so we have to become those critical thinkers. We have to fact check 3 or 4 times as much as you can, because Mars also represents propaganda. And of course, Mercury is information and communication. So I believe that it's going to be very hard, Pisces, right, to tell one person's reality from another person's reality. There's actually a phrase that is emerging for this. I can't remember what it is. If anybody in the chat knows what this is, let me know. But it's like a dissonance in reality, because someone's going to believe something so much that that is their reality, and you will believe a different thing so much that that is your reality, and they will not be able to be rectified with each other, but they're still important to you as individuals. And so it's going to be very important to know why you believe what you believe, and have really excellent resources that you can fall back on as your trustworthy, reliable, sound resource. Yeah. So that is one thing that I will say. It's something like, I think it's a dissonance, but it's like a reality dissonance or something like that. Yeah, it literally though, Shauna, but imagine that's not a joke. Now, here's the other side of it. Do I see purpose in this a little bit? Yes. I've been looking hard for it, but yes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing my screen. We've seen a lot of charts. Now I'm just going to talk to you face to face. Thank you for bearing with me for that half hour TED talk on the way we truncate astrology. So yeah, Steph, you've already experienced this. Yeah, my own family in some cases is like this. So it's like there's an Adam Ruins Everything episode where they talk about conspiracy theorists, and Adam has a really hard time in that episode with someone who refuses to believe that we landed on the moon, as an example. And in the end, he simply has to accept that that person will never be convinced, even though he has what he believes is plenty of evidence, right? Similar thing for the lunar eclipse coming up tomorrow. If you're on the East Coast, you're going to get to see a really cool thing called a selenelium, I think it's called. It's basically because the lunar eclipse is occurring at moonset and sunrise, the curvature of the Earth and the atmosphere of the Earth will bend light in a way that as the sun is rising, the image of the moon, even though she will be beneath the horizon, will be projected upward. So you will be able to see the sun and the moon fully eclipsed at the same time. So that's around like 6:30-ish in the morning. Check sunrise in your location. And that happens to be the perfection of the totality of the lunar eclipse at the same time. So, do your own judgment there for how you want to experience that. But it is something that is going to be really cool. And it is something that you could use as evidence very easily to disprove a flat earth theory, just on our topic here. Happens to coincide. I'm not going to miss that shot. So what I do see, though, I showed you how the moon was the ruler of the chart for 2025 into 2026. I think Mars may be a strong candidate for the ruler of the chart for 2026 itself into 2027. But the moon is still very important in the 2026 Aries Ingress chart. And the moon is the people sort of taking control, the people having the most support, the people kind of making a lot of decisions, right? And so what this is, too late to so many things, is a wake-up call, I hope, for a lot of people. I can only hope that it is something that brings clarity to those who still need it, brings deeper clarity and conviction to those who are in whatever the right place is, right? I'm not going to say that I am totally right in my convictions. I feel like I am, and that's because I'm me. But yours may be even different than mine, even though we agree on a lot of things, right? So it's important to know what your reality is, because there are going to be a lot of challenges to what the definitions of reality are. Now, is that validating to the whole manifesting idea and theory? 100%. Your reality is what you make of it. It starts from within, it is reflected without. We are going to see that amplified to the nth degree with everybody, whether they are doing it consciously or not, really manifesting their reality, whether it's by saying, I choose for this to be real and I'm going to pursue it and make it happen and make sure I'm doing no harm in the process, or they are letting people tell them what reality should be and they are subjecting themselves to that world. Lots of this is my opinion. Gonna restate that. And also, I feel like it's important to share. So I hope it resonates. I hope it feels helpful and expansive to you in your research. I am a resource. I am not a preacher or a prophet or anybody who should tell you what to think. I don't think anybody should tell you what to think. That ticks me off. I tell you what I feel, what I know, what I've seen, and I give you stuff to look at so that you can take what I've told you and you can investigate it for yourself. I'm really trying to teach astrological clarity and literacy, right? When you're viewing astrologers out there, are they telling you why they're saying what they're saying? Are they rooting it back into techniques that you can then investigate on your own? Or are they saying, trust me on this, the world's about to end? That would make me question them, right? It's my first step in going, is if someone's like this, and that's all they want to say. No, I need to know why, what, where, when, how, who, all the things. So then I have to do that research on my own. Do I enjoy it? Not at all, but it's important. And do I enjoy then knowing everything? Yeah, I like knowing stuff. I just don't like the process of getting there because, it's slower. But that's my ADHD. So I hope that this has been helpful. If you have any questions, I can bring the chart back up. I just didn't want it to like boggle the mind as we were trying to get into some more grounded stuff. Um, yeah, the eclipse is going to be really fun to watch. Now, again, that eclipse is happening on the descendant, right? It's the moon's set, so that will show us that it'll happen a while away. What it is showing us or what it is going to bring about. But again, it's still lunar. Now, by transit, is it still the sun and the moon near the nodes, which is a pretty magnified energy? Yes. Is it coinciding with these other things that I've mentioned to you today? Yes. So it's another drop in the bucket, right? For sure. However, it's a mercurial eclipse. Mercury's rough. So be aware of the tendency for narratives to be very much crafted by what you hear. I heard some this morning that I literally just had to stomp around the house because of what I was being told on a news station by people who are supposed to be reliable. And I just, it sounded storytelling. And I guess I've spent a lot of years doing this because I have. So I've gotten sort of tuned to catching it, but it just ticked me off so much to believe, to see that these people believe that we are so easily manipulated. That hurt my feelings because it disrespects my intelligence, and that is like calling Marty McFly chicken. So so I did have to stomp around for a little bit, sing some songs to calm myself down, hold a corgi. Given what this energy is like today, Ground News is a good resource. Misty, thank you for that. Even then though, be a little bit careful. They've posted one or two things that I was just like, for real though. So they're really good because they give you more resources. They are a great access point for resources, engaging factuality and stuff like that. But yeah, biases are rough, and they're about to be importantly rough, right? We just need to make sure that we stay on top of it. We're gonna have to put our big kid brains on. And in the same time, please let me reiterate, have hobbies. Turn off social media and the news sometimes when you start feeling overwhelmed. Make sure you are petting the dogs and touching the grass and all the things that you want to do, that you enjoy doing. Do not let them take who you are. Because that's going to make it's going to make things just not fun. I mean, it's already not designed to be fun in that aspect, but you can still have fun. Don't lose your whimsy. You can have both. It's okay to have both. You can still eat a cupcake if it's not your birthday, so you can still have your whimsy even when the world's ridiculous. Yeah. Let me see. I'm just going to catch up on comments. Steph Lynn, thank you. Yeah, if I ever stop encouraging people to think for themselves and doing their research, catch me on it, because that will not be something I ever want to be. It's very important to me. I can't change the world, but maybe I can help change someone's perspective in the world in a grounded way. Yes, Jenny. And as someone who spent years of their life trying to do this for people that were very close to them and ultimately had to realize you can't change the perspective of people who do not want their perspective changed. You can plant seeds. You can hold your boundaries and reiterate them. You can lead by example, but making your goal, and I'm not saying you're doing this, I was doing this, so I'm just admitting it and hoping it helps someone out there. Making it your goal to save them is not likely to work in the timeline that is sustainable for your energy. So just keep doing what you need and keep, holding yourself up and doing what you need to do. And if you stay, held up, you will be able to help other people when they are ready to come out of the cave, so to speak. Um, yeah, yeah. But I love that you have those perspectives. It's very helpful. Uh, you went on a tirade that it was a terrible movie, pandering to the movie machine. Yeah, so you can just tell when movies are going to be like that. Yeah, um, always have the cake if you can. I had chocolate yesterday because I was sad yesterday. Rightfully so, right? It's okay to be sad. I was sad this morning. There have been tears for no reason at well, every reason, right? But no personal reason. I have a lot of great things going on right now, some that I can't even talk about. And also, there are things that are making me very sad. So I let myself cry. I let myself have the chocolate. I cuddle the dogs. I play the video games. I write the books. I do what I have to do. Um, Misty, non-US news outlets, yeah, those are really helpful. Um, yeah, via a separate account. That's pretty smart, very crafty. Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. Um, Yeah, movies, making bracelets, that's cool. The British baking shows, I love a good baking show, yeah. We've been watching Spy Family here, and it was funny because yesterday we watched this episode that the first half of the episode was clearly showing you about media literacy and, different ways that propaganda is used by both sides. Um, and of course, it was in the context of me of having heard all these headlines over the weekend. So I was a little upset, but also like Spy Family season 3, I don't know which episode it was specifically. I recommend it because it's just honest about how there's usually an agenda to something with things like that. And that's sad. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick drink here. So, did the astrology make enough sense that you feel like you could pursue your own questions on it? Do you have any questions that I can, take us a step further on? Anything like that? Again, my goal today is to help you feel more grounded and focused and centered in what feels like a very whirlwindy, out of control time. Gotta love PBS masterpiece stuff. Yes. Um, yeah. Turns out judges don't need to be mean. Isn't that weird? I love the British Bake Off for that. Um, yeah. Yeah. When people help themselves on the shows, yeah, all those things are great. All right. While I'm waiting to see if any of you have questions, I think okay, no spell work during the eclipse? Yes. Okay. So here's why, right? Again, always happy to tell you why. I typically say no spell work during the eclipse because it's kind of like getting a haircut during Mercury retrograde stereotypically, right? You don't know what you're going to get. So when we are talking about magic, the moon is one of the most crucial parts to magic. She translates all of the stars to us. Her phases help us know if we want to do increase or decrease, all of those things. And so during eclipses, particularly lunar eclipses, it's like if you're pulling on a well of magic, the well has been corrupted. The water is corrupt because the light that charges it up, so to speak, is broken. It can't do what it's going to do. The Earth's atmosphere has gotten in the way. So truly, this light from the sun is blocked, and that's not ideal, right? And we don't know what combination. Could you imagine, right? Like here's a good metaphor: the sun, right? Pure life-giving energy. The moon, things that bring that energy into form. And then some random person just jumps in the way and gets their energy in the mix. Would you use that moon water? Like you don't know who that is and what their opinions are, where they've been, all that stuff. Yeah. So it's like a loud noise when the bread is trying to rise, right? You just don't know. It's Schrodinger's cat, so to speak. Um, yeah. So typically, you would say no. There are people out there, sorcerers, magicians, whatever they want to call themselves, whatever term they identify with best, that will say, "Oh, I use the eclipse energy all the time." And it's not even like the fun kind of chaotic, right? It's a very chaotic energy that is a little bit above our pay grade, right? It's let nature do what nature is doing. I'm not saying let the gods do things. I'm not saying let whatever stuff do things on a spiritual hierarchy. I'm saying nature is trying to figure her stuff out so she can tell us what to do next. And if you're trying to get in the way, it's like when you're driving a car and you open the door and your mom's like, "Oh my god." It's kind of like that, right? Let's not freak out, mom. Um yeah. So that's one of the things that I will say. Can you try to channel chaotic energy for things like cursing people or retribution or social justice? I know several people who would say, yeah, try. Personally, I don't think it's necessarily that. Nature gives us times that are adequate for cursing, for retribution, for binding spells. We already have those. Eclipses times still aren't that. So it's still not my recommendation. Now, I am one person and these are my opinions. And the information and knowledge I have gained from experience and from mentors and from other people who have practiced, my peers. Am I the end all be all resource for you? No. If you have a really good reason, if you feel compelled to try all of those things, I'm not going to tell you no, but I hope that my reasons have given you some sort of contextual idea to help you feel more of a heck yes or a heck no in your decision. That's where I feel on that. Yep, no soggy bottoms. Eclipse energy is like wild. Yeah, yeah. Yes. Cool. And please let me know if that was a good enough response. I can always do better if needed. Um, ooh, shout out to the Canadian baking shows. Let's give credit where it's due. Awesome. Yeah, and we still have plenty of time left. So anything you guys want to cover, I am here. I know you've all made me feel a little bit better this morning. I hope I can do the same for you. Also, I can go wrangle up a corgi if that will also help us. Because listen, whatever works today. Yep. Awesome. Let me just think really quickly. Your friend was reading a book about the seasons and how winter is important to happen, and it is just the reality. Is Eclipse 5 like a season thing? Eclipses do happen at least 4 times a year. So yes, but they move around through the year. So it's not always at the same time of year. So they're not seasonal. They have their own cycles. Um, but it happens every 6 months, give or take, by a little bit. And they, like I said, do move around. They were happening in like the March, October situation, or it was like April, October for a bit there. Now it's going to be like March and I think August, if I remember right. I don't know. Hang on. I can look this up. I'm going to use am I going to use the ephemeris? Which ones? I'm going to use my honeycomb. Like which thing has the quickest graphic for me to look at? I will use my honeycomb because it lists it a little bit more conveniently. If I can get to the page talking about this year. Stations, lunations. Okay, so we've got our March 3 eclipse. The next one's August 28th for the lunar eclipse. Yeah. And then a solar on the 12th. So yeah, we were looking at February into March, and then August we'll have the next 2 eclipses. August 12th will be the solar eclipse. That'll be in Leo. And then August 28th will be a lunar eclipse in Pisces, whereas this one is in Virgo. Sorry, I was looking at my transits with that. The meme of the planets all in a row is circling around again. Yeah. Actually, the meme, the planet parade, if you have, you know what? Let's I'm going to show the screen again, but this time I will use Luna. It is not going to be like Hercules. So, but the ones that I've seen don't seem to be claiming that quite as much this time. They're just saying, hey, they're visible. Now, the planets that are visible in the sky are going to have to be after sunset, right? So this is the lunar eclipse, but if we go by a couple hours, and let me just pop this forward like, I don't know, 10 hours, that should put us, yeah, now we're getting close to sunset. Boop. Okay. So here, the sun has set, right? So we will be able to see in the darkened sky stars, including planets. Mars has already set, so we're not going to see Mars. Jupiter will be way up here, not quite part of the parade, right? Everybody else is over here. So we will be able to see barely, maybe Mercury may still be under the beams of the sun at this point. Mercury, we'll be able to see Venus for sure. She's all set. Neptune, if you have a telescope, you'll be able to see Neptune and Saturn. That's 2 or 3 planets that you'll be able to see all lined up. It is what it is. I think they're talking about 6. I don't know why. Mars won't be visible at night. Mercury may be under the beams. And they're saying they said this for the 28th of February, actually. So if I pop back a couple days here, the whole idea was on the 28th. Come on. Boom. It's the same situation. Saturn, you can see. Neptune, you need a telescope, then you can see it. Venus, you can see no problem. Mercury, very close to being still under the beams, perhaps visible, not quite sure. I'd have to look at the sky itself. So that's, 1, 2, 3, 4, if you have a telescope and if the sun rays are far enough away from Mercury. 5 and 6, I'm guessing they were including Uranus, who is nowhere near them, but over here. And then Jupiter will be visible more towards the eastern horizon if you go outside. So, yeah, it's not, there will be a time where they're a little bit closer, but it is not this time. It's funny, back in 2000, with that mean triplicity shift I told you about, there was a day. It's like, hang on, I remember because I'm using it for my book. It's not exactly June 1st, but it's going to be around then. There was a day. We're going to have to go back by a lot. Let's try May 1st. Let's try May 18th. What day am I in my book? It's in April, but okay. Anyway, you can see that because the shift was happening at that time, right? We had Jupiter and Saturn and Venus and the sun and Mercury and Mars. And even there is a day where the moon was there too. So you had all of the visible planets in the same sign. That is a planetary parade, okay? But even then, not visible. Even then, most of them were underneath the horizon by the time the sun set. So it's tricky to get one of those. It really is. Yeah. Cool. Let me catch up on our stuff. Stop sharing. There we go. Yeah, I think of Hercules too, but it's not like that. I need to watch that movie again. Yeah, so it's a lot of planets in the same parts of the sky. Are people born right now having heck of a stellium? Yeah. So a lot of things are going to come back to Pisces for a lot of people born at this time. And a little bit of Aries too. So I imagine in about 20 years time, if I'm still a practicing astrologer, which I hope I will be, I'm going to get charts of people and they'll come to me and they'll be like, hey, why is everything in one side in my chart? What does it mean if I have empty houses? And then I will get to tell them the same thing I tell people today. Yeah. So now you know. I would love it if you guys don't mind letting me know. Was this helpful? Was it helpful to be able to see, like, here's what's actually going on? Because I've also, like I said, I've seen, I don't have a third house. Yeah, Shauna, exactly. How are those two go together, Aries and Pisces? They're just one sign after another. So if the planet's not in Pisces, it's going to be in Aries because they moved over. So they're just next to each other. They don't see each other. They're not connected in any way that we can work with. But yeah, thank you. I'm glad to know it was helpful because I saw someone today, like, people, okay, going to be honest, going to be a little bit transparent here. Again, totally my opinion. People are dying. And to go onto social media the day it happens and say, if astrology is not real, why this, which I can associate with all these planets then? It's like, can we have a minute to actually just be like, this gives me feelings. before we go into, well, look how this proves astrology. To me, that person, A, wants to be relevant and wants to be among the first. The fact that there even is a race among astrologers on social media to try and justify things immediately after an event occurs, rather than taking your time, feeling it, being human, and being a part of the human experience and just understanding humanity, gets to spiritual bypassing really fast. And that's not healthy. So I spent the weekend crying and being angry and not looking at a chart until this morning. I looked at my chart because I've been making some plans and doing some things and like trying to plan stuff and figure out where my next piece of control and action is, which I've been doing for myself. Um, but as far as the chart for that moment and all of these things, I gotta tell you, I know it's not good for my social media. I don't care if I'm the first to tell you something. I don't even care if I'm the first to tell you the right thing or the accurate thing on social media about anything. I want all of us to be people first, and this sucks. And it just does. And the first and foremost thing I want to do is process and feel my feelings so that I don't take actions that are going to be reckless and hurtful, which is why I spent that time in quiet. And then when I have had enough time to be able to come and share with you, I want to be a resource that you can lean on too, for rationality, for stability, for, how can I ground myself so I can validate my feelings and then feel like I have enough strength to be able to go to the next thing or do whatever I need to do. I am not a fan of the people on social media that immediately came out and was like, I told you this was going to happen. Who does that help? So I apologize if you were looking for me to say something over the weekend and I wasn't there. Also, I don't think that's something about me that will change. But you can rely on me to be there with grounding information at some time after the fact, typically when we have a live broadcast where I can walk you through it with plenty of time rather than trying to crunch it into a minute and 30 seconds, which I feel like in my own thoughts is just an insult to the people that are impacted, to the events. I don't want to turn them into a postcard or a headline. I want to make sure that we see things are happening. So it's, there's something to anchor into, like some kind of thing to hold on to during the hurricane that doesn't take the hurricane away. You can't ignore the hurricane, but we can hold on to something so that we can make it through. That's what I hope to do. I'm not saying it's the right thing. It's just where I am right now. And I am always growing and changing. So I hope it's helpful, like I said. And if I can be more helpful in other ways, that's why I try to open up to your questions so I can see where you're at and meet you there. Yeah. Remaining quiet to choose your words and say what needs to be said in its time. Yeah, I hope that I have an act for that. Yeah, cool. Oh, this is the astrology community I trust the most. That's really meaningful to me, Lauren. Thank you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a rant from me today. Um, but yeah. And again, you're not going to see me clip this for social media. So if you feel like this is helpful for someone to hear, direct them to the replay of this live and they will be able to see it. Because yeah. I appreciate you guys. I love you all too. Okay, I have like 2 more minutes. Let me know. Let's wrap this up with the biggest mood boost I can imagine. Would you like to see a corgi? Hey, Gabe. Yeah. All right. I'm gonna bring the corgi over. 1 second. Little baby girl, your fans await you. Okay. This has been the most helpful thing to me all weekend. Mwah. So I hope I hope that it's helpful for you guys too. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Do whatever you need for yourselves. And I'll see you on Wednesday for gaming and Friday for the Alchemist Ink Spill. There is an episode of the Alchemist Ink Well that should air today. If it doesn't, that's technology. We did record it, I promise you. So Have a really good day, you guys. Bye. Wait, where's my, I don't have an end button. Well, this will be fun. There it is. Okay, they moved it. I'm good now. All right. Bye, guys.